Hey, what's taking you so long? Just hurry up, will ya? I'm only waiting for you to come and pay the bill, you slowpoke. Blah.
Oops, my bad. Guess what? I'm not coming today. La.
What?
Didn't you hear? I said I'm not coming. So, you're gonna have to cover the bill yourself. Catch you later.
When I said that, I could hear Betty's panicked voice on the other end of the phone.
What? Hold on, I didn't bring my wallet.
Not my problem. It's her fault for not bringing her wallet. Moreover, this upscale steakhouse has a secret that ensures Betty can't just slip away. I wonder what she'll do when she finds out. The thought makes me smirk in a way I can't help but find satisfying. Betty needs to learn her lesson. My name is Mary, a 31-year-old average office worker. Back in college, I used to think I'd find the one in my 20s and get married before 30. Still no wedding in sight. One thing becomes painfully clear as you get older. The friends who reach out after a long time are usually either getting married or trying to sell you something. And in this case, Betty was the former. Just someone I knew from college. I don't consider her a friend. She's never paid her own way and always relies on others to pick up the tab. It's gotten pretty old. In college, we had this ongoing issue. Whenever Betty showed up to a gathering, she'd almost always forget her wallet. Oops, sorry, I left my wallet at home. Mary, can you cover me? I promised to pay you back later. Not once did she ever pay anyone back. So we had an unspoken rule, don't invite Betty to social outings. Yet somehow, Betty would always find out and show up, letting someone else foot the bill. That's just how she was. So when Betty reached out after a long time saying she wanted to talk, I was wary. Sure, I missed her, but was she going to make me pay again? Betty chose to meet at a fancy restaurant on Rodeo Drive. This place was always packed during weekend lunches, and even with a reservation, there was a weeks-long wait. Given that she went through the trouble of booking this restaurant, I assumed something serious was up. We're both over 30 now, and Betty made the reservation, so I thought there was no way she'd stick me with the bill this time. As I walked into the restaurant, Betty was already seated.
Mary, long time no see.
Betty, waving her hand, was dressed to impress. Full makeup, designer clothes, she looked more nouveau rich than chic. Wow, you've changed a lot.
Oh, can you tell? I guess my newfound celebrity aura is seeping through. Such a hassle.
Celebrity? So you married rich?
Exact. I'm marrying a high-ranking diplomat. He graduated from Harvard Law and comes from a family of diplomats.
That's incredible. Congrats.
Though my congratulations were sincere, Betty locked eyes with me and said,
Well, I'm not ordinary like you, lol. You're still single and don't even have a boyfriend, do you? Blah.
Betty looked down on me, her face filled with smugness. Yes, Betty has always been the cuter one, the one who got all the male attention. I get it. You like to flaunt that you're married to some high-ranking official, but don't you think that makes it look like you married him just to boost your own status?
I might not be married, but I've got a boyfriend, you know?
Really? Let me guess. Some nerd you'd find in a comic book store, right? Blah. That's about the only guy who'd be interested in someone at your level.
Betty really had no right to go that far. I have a boyfriend too, you know? His name is Mark, and we met at a party a few months ago.
Okay, he may not be some hotshot official like your husband, but I have a boyfriend who's a public servant. He's just an ordinary guy, not some nerd. When I retorted, Betty burst into laughter.
A mere public servant? La, come on, you could do so much better. La, they don't make much money, you know? Blah.
After her laughter subsided, Betty added,
I'm obviously the winner in life. Now, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom.
With that, Betty left the table. Once she was gone, I felt increasingly frustrated. Did Betty invite me just to show off her marriage? I should have never come. I had plans to meet with Mark today, and I canceled them to spend time with Betty. Now it all seems like a waste. Time passed, and Betty still didn't return. Could it be? I've been had. Betty invited me just to flaunt her life and stick me with the bill. Reluctantly, I paid for both of us. Later, I saw Betty's post on Instagram. Had lunch today at an exclusive restaurant on Rodeo Drive. Might be pricey for regular folks, but easy peasy for a future wife of a top official like me. As if she paid for that expensive lunch. Some things never change. I don't think I'll be meeting Betty again. In fact, I'll decline if she asks. I never want to see her again. Just when you think life can't get any more ironic, you run into the one person you absolutely didn't want to see at the absolute worst time. It happened when I was on a date with Mark. We had just met up and were about to grab lunch, and there she was, Betty. We're meeting for lunch. Who's this, Mary? The boyfriend you were talking about?
Nice to meet you. Mary, is this a friend of yours?
I really didn't want to tell him. I was so scared. I really didn't want to call Betty my friend. Especially, I didn't want to introduce her to Mark.
While I'm standing there confused, Betty chimes in. Oh, you know. Mary and I have been best friends since college. We've always gotten along so well. How about joining us for lunch, if you're up for it?
She was pushy as always. Clearly she's planning to mooch off us for lunch.
Whoa, hold on a minute. Is that cool?
Come on, it's fine. Let's all go together, Betty.
Really? That makes me so happy.
Here we go again. I'm so done with Betty's pushiness. And that's how I ended up having lunch with Betty and Mark. The conversation was all about Betty boasting with Mark and I just listening. When we finished eating, Betty acted like it was the most natural thing and said, "Oh, what should I do?" I forgot my wallet at home. "Mark, could you cover my bill, please?"
Seriously? You never planned to pay from the beginning. Cut it out.
I couldn't help but raise my voice.
That's so mean. Why would you say something so cruel? I'm gonna cry.
But I knew better. This was Betty's go-to fake crying, and men usually fall for Betty's act.
Sure enough, Mark says, hey, it's fine. I'll cover the bill. Don't worry about it, Betty.
Really? How great. Mary, you've got a great boyfriend.
Great boyfriend? What's that supposed to mean? In Betty's eyes, a great boyfriend simply means a guy who picks up all the bills.
Betty, having gotten Mark to pay, suddenly remembered an appointment and said, "Oh, I forgot. I have something to do." She'll probably keep exploiting Mark like this, but I can't let that happen to him.
Hey Mark, about Betty.
Before I could get into it, Mark softly interrupted me.
Is she always like this?
You mean you knew she was trying to freeload?
I was taken aback. I thought Mark had been fooled by her fake crying.
Well, you can't be too naive, right? Don't you think she needs a little lesson?
Mark looked at me like a child who thought of an interesting prank. And then he told me his plan. It just might work to leave Betty speechless. I decided right there to go along with Mark's scheme. A few days later, I got another message from Betty.
The fancy steak place you posted on Instagram the other day. What was that? That place is pricey and hard to get reservations at. How did you get in?
Gotcha. I grinned and texted her back.
Oh, that place? That's actually owned by one of Mark's colleagues who retired. That's why Mark could get us a reservation easily.
What? No way. You have to take me there.
Fine, but I get to choose the day and time, okay?
Absolutely. Make sure to reserve a spot.
With that, Betty hung up the phone. Seems like she fell for the plan. All that's left is to talk to Mark and set the time. I can finally give her a much-deserved reality check. I eagerly awaited the day of reckoning. We're supposed to meet at 8 p.m., but I told her I'd be a little late due to work. Knowing Betty, she's probably gone ahead, sat down, and ordered already. She expects me to pick up the tab as usual.
Hey, you're not here yet? I've already started on my own, you know? This place is just so delish. Never get tired of eating here.
Sorry, I'm just leaving work now. Could you wait a little longer?
Sure, go ahead and enjoy yourself. No rush. Not like I want to eat with you or anything.
She must have started on the drinks already. Betty couldn't help but spill the beans.
You're just my meal ticket anyway. Besides, eating with someone like you would ruin a great steak.
She said her piece and hung up the phone. Looks like she was planning on having me pay again. It's annoying that she still expects me to pick up the tab, but what really gets to me is her saying that the luxury steak would taste bad if I were there. I was completely fed up with Betty's rotten attitude. Well, she won't be talking like that for long. Another 30 minutes later, Betty calls me again.
Hey, are you coming or what? I want to get going. I'm stuffed. All that's left is for you to pay. Hurry up.
That's enough. I let her have it.
Sorry, I'm actually not coming today.
What?
Didn't catch that? I said I'm not coming. So, you'll have to pay for your own bill. Bye now.
I could hear her panicking on the other end of the line.
Wait, what? I didn't bring my wallet.
Too bad. Today she claims she forgot her wallet again. But honestly, that's not my problem. It's her own fault for not bringing it.
Oh really? Tough break, huh? Figure it out yourself.
You're kidding. Seriously?
Ignoring the fussing Betty, I hung up the phone. To prevent any more calls, I switched my phone to airplane mode. Soon enough, Betty's loud voice could be heard from downstairs.
I'm the victim here. Please believe me. My friend set me up.
As usual, it seemed Betty had started her fake crying, but the owner of this place is on my side.
Ma'am, faking tears won't help you. If you can't pay, well, that's Dine and Dash for you.
Stop. How about you folks over there? I forgot my wallet. Can you cover me? Please. What? You're cops. How about you other people? You cops too? What's with this place? Why is everyone a cop? Huh? You want me to come to the station now? No. Someone help.
Betty's screams echoed from downstairs. I was listening from the second floor of an upscale steakhouse. Yes, you heard that right. I was hiding upstairs in the steakhouse from the get-go. All to witness the climax of today's plan. And this restaurant, as I told Betty, was opened by Mark's former work mentor. Mark's workplace is surprisingly a police station. So Mark and his former mentor are both police officers. That day, Mark shared a plan with me. The idea was to utterly shock Betty at a steakhouse owned by Mark's former police supervisor, who has since retired and runs the place with his wife. This upscale steakhouse is frequented by Mark's current work buddies, who are all active-duty police officers. Dine and dash in a restaurant where the owner is a retired cop and all the customers are on the force. There's no way she'd get away with it. Sure enough, Betty was escorted to the police station by one of the officers who was dining there.
So how'd it go? My plan worked out, didn't it?
Mark confidently remarked, sipping his drink across from me. I asked Mark something that had been on my mind.
But how did you see through Betty's fake crying back then? Most men have been fooled by her act.
I'm a cop, remember? I deal with people like her more than I'd like to. So I knew instantly. Plus, I can't stand someone like that being near you. You mean a lot to me.
Mark smiles at me as he says this. It seems that in his own way, Mark has been looking out for me. I felt my cheeks flush as I realized his true feelings for me. Then Betty was arrested on the spot for dining and dashing and was taken away in a police car. The crime was treated as fraud under the law. Betty reached out to her high-ranking bureaucrat fiancé from the police station for help. Her fiancé introduced her to a lawyer he knew, and thanks to that lawyer, she settled with the restaurant and wasn't prosecuted. Betty thought she had dodged a bullet, but the ordeal wasn't over yet. Upon learning about Betty's dine and dash, her fiancé immediately broke off the engagement. He thought that having someone like her as his wife would tarnish his future career. So, just like that, the glamorous life Betty had bragged so much about was over. Well, she was the one to blame, so it's only fitting. After that, Mark proposed to me. Of course, my answer was yes. I feel like I can face anything as long as I'm with him. I know he'll always protect me. That's what I believe. I want to have Mark's children and continue to be a happy family forever.